Okay, jump into your Arduino IDE, and what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to click File and Preferences. Now, my recording did some weird stuff here, but just trust me. Click File, click Preferences. So there we are. And then where it says Additional Board Manager URLs, you're going to take the link out of your handout. It's got a picture here as well. It shows you what it is. And you're going to paste that in there. So it's this one here, the DA-Melis ATtiny URL. Cool, click OK. And then click over here on Boards Manager. And now type in ATtiny. And this is the only one that comes up. It's by David A. Melis, and click Install. Right, that's successfully installed, so we can move on. The first code that you are going to put onto this ATtiny is a test code. And so the first thing I want to do, I'm just going to close that little board manager on the side. Right, and I might shrink that debug window. There we go. Now you want to take what's in your sketch window and you want to get rid of all of it. So highlight it and delete it. Now take that test code and paste it into the window. So this is a very simple flash code, so it's going to turn red on and off and green on and green off. You've seen this before. Now once you're at this stage, you are going to go and grab the programmer, which looks like this. So this is one of the programmers that we're going to be using for the ATtiny 85, and that's the ATtiny 85, little chip that we're going to be putting our code onto. You see a picture there? And it's got a little U-shaped cutout that's facing up. And the chip has a little U-shaped cutout, and when you install it into the socket like that, it should be facing up. Once you drop it in there, you can flick that lever forward and that will lock it in place. Then take the USB cable and plug it into your computer. So back in the Arduino IDE, you're going to need to change a couple of options. So open Tools, you need to change the board to ATtiny, and the ATtiny, this one here that has the 85 as an option. You need to make sure that the port is selected. So the Arduino is working as the programmer, so make sure that's selected. Then you need to make sure you select ATtiny 85. And lastly, this one here, programmer, Arduino as ISP, needs to be ticked as well. So once those are all done, then you go to Sketch and you go Upload using Programmer. And it should say Done Uploading. Now, if you have any issues with this, go back to Tools and check these options. The other thing you can do is check that your chip is inserted into the programmer in the right location. But once that's done, you can pull your chip out and you can move on to the next bit. So move over to where one of these testers is located and bring your chip that you've just put some code onto. And notice that, yep, U-shaped cutout should match the U-shaped cutout on the board. And what we want to do is put that chip into that socket. Now, one thing you might have to do is you might have to squeeze those legs just a little bit closer together. They're kind of spread out when you first get the chip, so you might need to bend them in a little bit. You can do that with your fingers, or you can sort of push the edge of the chip down onto a hard surface like a bench. But you just need to bend those legs in so they're pretty close to 90 degrees, right? Just like that. Then you can push that into the socket, right? Don't push it all the way home, just push it in a little bit, right? And then take that USB and you can plug that into a computer, because these ones are known to be good. And all things going well, if your chip's programmed, it should flash those 3 colors. So that's confirming that your chip works, which is very good. Now, go and get your own PCB that you've soldered with the USB cable connected to it for power, and you are going to put that chip in the socket, and you're basically going to test that your PCB is good. So seat that, and this time, when you plug this USB in, I don't want you to plug it into a computer, plug it into one of these power packs, because if you've made a catastrophic mistake with this PCB, there is some risk that you could do bad things to the USB port on a computer. So just to test if it works, use a power supply, right? And if that works, then you know that your chip is good, you know that your PCB is good, you know that it's all good. Everything's going to be all right. Now in the next video, I'll show you how to take your own code and upload it onto that ATtiny.